It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this. I'm Jeff Grubb. I write for GamesBeat.com. I also run Jeff Grubb's Summer Game Mess. And we've got a few updates. This is the Game Mess Show Live. I try to do this each week. Real quick housekeeping. Join the Discord. The link should be in my bio on Twitter. It's the best way to get it. But also, I should put it in the description if you're watching this on YouTube later. You can also support this side of what I'm doing by go to patreon.com/Jeff Grubb. These videos, things that I do, are supported through that, and it also gets you like secret access to the podcast producers room and the industry secrets room inside my Discord. Come hang out, we talk there. But the Discord overall is free to join. We have a huge community now. It just went over 1,000 members. It's really active. I applied for Discord partnership, so hopefully we'll get that. That'll be cool. And yeah, all right. I don't want to keep you guys too long. I do always say you're busy. Let's do this. So I should actually do this. All right, so here's the list. Again, not much has changed. There's an Overwatch 2 stream this week. We'll see what that is all about. I'll be watching that. Mike has been banished. If you listen to the podcast on Friday, Mike's been banished, so I will be watching this week to see if there's any news from Overwatch 2. Let's see, the Dragon Quest 35th anniversary live stream. I believe that might have been on the list last week, but if not, here it is now. And we still aren't quite sure what to expect from this. I am hopeful for Dragon Quest 12. I'm also hopeful for a lot of Dragon Quest games getting ported to the Switch. I think both of those things are in the realm of possibility. It seems like a lot of people believe that we are primed for Dragon Quest 12, and this is a Japanese-focused event, also right before E3, so to me it lines up. If they want to announce Dragon Quest 12, you do it here, and then if you want to announce any sort of partnership with Microsoft and Game Pass, which I don't know if that's happening. I don't think so. But if they were going to do that, you announce it for the Japanese audience first, and then that frees you up to announce more stuff with partners at E3 or beyond if it's a partnership with Sony whenever they do their summer state of play. Let's see. Battlefield 6 reveal still soon. You know what? Let's just jump to that question first, because let's see. So these are questions from YouTube, not even questions, mostly comments. So in the past, I said that there would be a Battlefield 6 reveal in early May, and they didn't do that. And then they said the words soon rhyme with June, because before I said that, the Battlefield account or EA account said soon trademark with a trademark symbol. And I will say that if you believe that soon rhymes with June, and that's why they did that, and then that wasn't sort of just like working backwards to make it seem like they always intended to do it to June, I've got a bridge I want to sell you and all that stuff. Look, they definitely moved it. Okay. I know it sounds like I'm like trying to make it sound like if I make a mistake, I will tell you. I made a mistake with Elden Ring in March. We talked about that before. That was me making a mistake. And I will tell you when I make a mistake. This is them moving it. I don't want to say too much more about it because, well, let's talk about this. So the YouTube questions here is EA is trolling everyone due to leaks, and the reason why the Battlefield trailer was delayed was because of leakers. And this comes from Michael Rabati, and Squadron Barkley is the man 26, or Saquon Barkley, excuse me. And no, they didn't delay it because of the leaks. The reasons they did delay it, we'll get into that someday. I'm not right now. I'm just they seem like they are. It's not necessarily a mess, but this is why we call this the game mess. People are in charge of these things, and people make one decision, and then they're presented with a different opportunity, and they were like, okay, well, we're gonna scrap that other decision, and we're gonna do this different thing because we're all humans. We're just trying to get the most out of this, and we're all just trying to make this all work, and that's what's happening here. And because they're like, this involves a lot of people, and a lot of people who aren't part of this decision-making process, a lot of people at DICE working hard on this game, a lot of people at EA who find out like, oh, we're moving it, and now we have to deal with that. And now we have to pretend that soon rhymes with June. I mean, it does rhyme, obviously, but pretend like that's what we meant to do. It causes a lot of stress for people. I try to do my best to avoid that. I was pretty confident about May. I think they were confident about early May, and that's why they started teasing it. But then things got shifted around. So that's why I'm not putting a specific date on it anymore. And when we get past this, when we get past E3, maybe we could touch back on this if anyone's still interested by then, which I imagine most people won't be. They just want to see the game. Okay. Let's see. Anything else on the list worth updating? I think EA Play Live. I think we announced that last week, and that's way beyond in July. That was one of the companies that I had always heard was going to go rogue in July, and they were maybe thinking about June, maybe thinking about Summer Game Fest, and then they're like, no, let's just do it in July. That'll give us more time. And then let's see. Yeah, okay. I might have added like stuff like Indie Live Expo, smaller things like that, but I think you can expect most of those small showcases that we've heard about in the last year, things that started popping up, these specific showcases with these, specific audiences. I think they had the Wholesome Games showcase, things like that. I think that got announced and caused a discourse online. That's the kind of stuff that we can expect to see all of those things pop up sometime around the E3 timeframe. So no surprise there. Let's see. Anything else? No. Let's answer this other question. You know what? Let's go back to the list view real quick. See if we'll give you guys one last look at that. Again, if you want to subscribe to this list, you can get it in the Discord. Join my Discord, and you could subscribe to, because this is like an announcement channel. And so I think when I make changes, you should see them. And as I delete it and then post it again, you should get notified when I post the list up. So that's the best way to keep up with the list, especially as I'm making changes throughout the week. Okay, yeah, let's answer this other. Hello, chat. We'll get right back to you. Let's answer this other question here. Jeff, what do you think is the best overall console, PS5 or Xbox Series X, if you had to pick one? It's tough. I think probably right now PS5. Ooh, I hit my mic. I keep doing that. Sorry, everybody. I think right now PS5, because of Ratchet and Clank. I'm very, very stoked to play that. I will say that the reasons I am playing a lot of games on my Xbox Series S, because I actually gave away my Xbox Series X to my nephew. I think I do have a new one coming though, so that'll be exciting to get one of those back. And I think Quick Resume fits really well into my life, where I get short bursts of time to play games because of the kids. And when I do get those short bursts, I want to play one game, and then sometimes I want to play a different game. And having Quick Resume keep everything, in stasis right where I left off is very nice. It fits very well into my life. It works very well, and it's a surprisingly good feature. But really when it comes down to it, when I go to play on a console right now, it is usually I'm going to play a specific game, and usually I want those games to be, new and exciting. Otherwise, I am still kind of playing on my PC when I get time here or there. And something like Ratchet and Clank is just so exciting that it's hard to undersell that. All right. That was a nice little distraction before we get into your questions. So, chat, how's it going? Real quick before we do this, I want to say thank you to Able to the Moon for cheering 100 bits. Kirks and GMBT21XD and Frank the Streamer, thank you all so much for your subscriptions. It means a lot. I mean, absolutely it does. Okay. So if you have a question, I want you to hit me up right now. You know what? Before we do that, I'm sorry. I'm getting mixed up. I've got a few other things I wanted to talk about. Things that aren't on the list, things that aren't your questions specifically. I think I just threw myself off there. Let's just go right here. I got a list of stuff run down over here. So I already talked about Battlefield 6. I already said there's a reason we call it the game mess. Elden Ring. Elden Ring is not going to be at the Xbox showcase. Now, I mentioned this on the GameSpeak Decides podcast, I think on Friday, and I don't know if I said it in so many words, but it's not going to be at the Xbox showcase. I'm pretty certain about that. And if it's not at the Xbox showcase, I am therefore pretty certain it's not going to be at E3 at all. There's still a chance, I guess. If you were to ask me what my opinion is, what I think is going to happen, I think it won't be at E3 at all because it's not going to be at the Xbox showcase. And like I said on the podcast on Friday on GameSpeak Decides, I hope I am wrong about that. And if I'm wrong, I will gladly accept people coming up to me and saying, hey, look at the good news. It actually was announced. Jeff Grubb, you were wrong. Please do that if that's what happens. I would love to see that. But I'm trying to kind of correct my previous statements where I've said I expect it to be at E3. All of the reasons I expected it to be at E3 are still true. I think it's people were hoping it would be there. Obviously, they don't want to keep stringing people along and not having any updates. The people making this game, the people marketing this game, they all want to talk about it. But E3 is a lot of work, and it's a huge distraction for a development team. And even when you're not flying to E3, you still have to sort of, as a whole development team, pause, say what do we need for E3? What kind of assets do we need? What do you need from us to help make those assets? That, like, make a trailer or something. And it's a distraction. It could take a week. It could take 2 weeks. And I don't think the team is in a situation right now where they want to take that time, where they can take that time. If I were to point to a reason, I would say that, number one reason continues to be COVID. It's just the reality of the situation. I know that we, in America, some can feel like we are moving past it. We're lifting restrictions. We're lifting restrictions here in my state, and yet my state is having one of the worst spikes ever right now. Now, I'm fully vaccinated. I am less fearful than ever, other than I know I could still get it, not realize it, and give it to my kids. But, that's besides the point. The point here is that right now, Japan is also experiencing its worst spike of the coronavirus ever, and it's still a real situation. The other problem, besides COVID, is probably cross-generational development. I think that the last generation platforms are still giving the development team a lot of issues, and I know that echoes Cyberpunk. I still wouldn't expect Cyberpunk-like issues, but I don't think it's going to be completely broken or anything, or run like complete trash on like a base Xbox One, but it is still causing problems, is what I understand. I know that's bad news, and I know that this is going to continue to upset people, but I have said things that we're probably giving people hope in the past, and I want to use this platform to correct that and sort of readjust people's expectations. And again, I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's at E3. All right. Hideo Kojima. So in the past, I said Hideo Kojima is in discussions with Xbox. That's still happening. Those conversations are ongoing. I am personally very confident that it'll go through, but I haven't heard any change about what stage they're at, other than it's with the lawyers. And that doesn't mean that the lawyers are just waiting for signatures or something like that. It's still part of the negotiation phase, I believe. But we are still before E3, and maybe you think, okay, well, this could still get announced at E3. And I think in the past, and I can't remember if it was on this show or not, I said there is a good chance that it won't be at E3. I think it's not going to be at E3. Let's just state that. And again, if I'm wrong, that'll be wonderful. But I don't think it'll be at E3. So where do they announce it? Jeff Keighley at the Game Awards, probably. By then, that's more than enough time to get this deal settled and to negotiate appearances and say, where are you going to market this stuff? To me, that makes a lot more sense, right? If they were trying to get it in for E3, it would be this huge rush, and they're not going to rush the negotiations. They're just not going to do that. All right. Hellblade 2. I don't think it was on this show, and I don't think it was on GameSpeak Decides. I think I was on another show, someone else's show. I can't remember where. I was doing a lot of guest spots in the last month. Hellblade 2 and E3 came up, and the question of whether or not it will be there, and I said it will be there. And now I'm going to tell you it won't be there. It's not going to be there. And that just comes down to they've already shown us a CG trailer, and my guess is they could show another CG trailer, but they don't want to show a lot of CG trailers, right? We all, if you're watching the show, you fully understand the narrative around Xbox and relying on CG over gameplay. And I think Microsoft is listening to that, and they don't want to fall into those traps of everyone saying, oh yeah, sure, they showed Hellblade 2, but it was just more CG. They only ever show CG. And maybe you would say, well, it'd be better than that than nothing, but I don't know if that's necessarily true. They will have something to show from that game eventually, and maybe by then it'll have a much bigger impact if it's just a gameplay trailer. And it'll be much better for their E3 show if the balance between CG and gameplay feels like it's a good ratio, right? So we'll see. And then the last thing, Starfield. Boy, I did not think that tweeting about Starfield being exclusive to Xbox was going to cause that to trend on Twitter. That was a wild one. So on Friday, I said, I tweeted that Randall Thor was saying on his show Xbox 2, and I went back and listened to it, and there was a lot of people saying Jeff Grubb thinks Starfield 2 is not exclusive. And boy, I was just trying to humor the possibility, and like, you know, the point that I was on the Gamescast on Kind of Funny, and they made a point that the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 version of Starfield have probably been in the works for a long time before Microsoft acquired the team. And why would they scrap that? Why wouldn't they just release it and then in the future focus on Xbox? And I'm like, okay, that makes some sense, but no, that's not how it's happened. That's not happening. And since I was on that show, I have confirmed that Starfield is going to be exclusive to Xbox and PC. It's not coming to PlayStation. At least there are right now no plans to do that. And that I mean, does that, like, no? That's what that means. It's like no one is planning to do that because they see the most benefit by just releasing it exclusively on Xbox platforms, on Game Pass, and then on Steam. Probably, yeah, I think so. And you know, the reasoning there is, I think, you know, I wrote this out in the story yesterday. If you haven't got a chance to read it, though, basically the point is that any money that they miss out on shipping the game on PlayStation is going to be made up from building momentum through Game Pass. And as more people join Game Pass and you have Starfield open up on your Xbox, and a new free-to-play game comes out, or your friend asks you to join a game, if you already have the Xbox open, you are more likely to open up that free-to-play game on your Xbox. And they see these, they know this happens. They understand the telemetry of the way people use devices. And if they can get you into their platform, that is the biggest hurdle in that chain to take advantage, to exploit the behavior of people to get the most money out of them. And so Starfield and Bethesda releases are a huge mover and a huge shaker for that sort of thing, that sort of behavior. And releasing it exclusively on Xbox is a way to take advantage of that. And again, I don't think this is too surprising. Phil Spencer basically said this in March, but you know, I was reiterating it, and it trended. So, but clearly people were not ready to believe that yet. And then Starfield, I think in the past I've suggested that it will launch this year. It's 2022. Yeah, it's 2022. So that's what that is. We will see it at E3 though. It'll be at E3. I'm pretty confident about that too. So that's exciting. Okay. Wow, I had a lot more to say than I thought I did. Let's get to some questions. We've already been going for 17 minutes. I did not intend for the early section to be that long, but here we are. Okay, let's answer some questions. All right, so let's start up here. I'm going to scroll up just a little bit. From IKGH1223, did you hear about the latest Nintendo leaks from Zippo, Mario Kart, Donkey Kong? Any thoughts? I did hear about those, and some of the things I've heard before. The Donkey Kong one, I think, Special Nick over on Xbox Era, he mentioned that when I was on their podcast. And yeah, I think this stuff is, most of that stuff sounds reasonable. I don't know about the timing and whether we'll see that stuff at E3. I think Mario Kart is the one I'm like the least. That's just based on like circumstantial evidence of how well Mario Kart 8 has sold. But I suppose that they are working on a new Mario Kart. I think just when they'll release it is the thing I don't know. Because of course they're going to make a new Mario Kart. And maybe it's the kind of thing that they want to position as, like a big release for the Nintendo Switch Pro. But we'll see. Mostly though, I think that those Zippo rumors seem to be pretty accurate. From Proven 2424, do you think Starfield has a big blowout at E3 or a small trailer at E3 and a bigger blowout later in the year? I don't know. I'll say I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know that sort of thing about any of the showcases right now from E3. Keep it in the mic. I will say that I do expect gameplay at E3. So take that for whatever it's worth to you. From Globe Gamer, are we getting Project Mara before Hellblade 2? And what other Bethesda games are we going to see at E3 other than Starfield, Wolfenstein 2, Omen? So I don't think we'll get Project Mara before Hellblade 2. I don't necessarily think that that just because it's not showing up at E3 doesn't mean like, oh, it is probably coming a little bit later than most people think, but I don't think that means that it's because Project Mara. I think it's just it comes down to a team like making a game on Unreal Engine 4 right now, understanding Unreal Engine 5 is coming. Maybe they have Unreal Engine 5, but they still have to get sort of accustomed to it. And I know that Epic says they're going to make it a really simple and smooth process. That's a smooth process in terms of transitioning from one development toolkit to the next, and not necessarily a smooth transition in all of your expertise in Unreal Engine 4 is going to mean that you are an expert in Unreal Engine 5. So they're going to want to take time to make sure this is a showcase game. They promised it as a showcase game in so many words when they showed us those early trailers and showed her face all animating in wild ways. They need to deliver on that, and they need to deliver on that with gameplay the next time they show it. And that's really where this comes from. And then in terms of what Bethesda games are we going to see at E3 other than Starfield? So yeah, let's talk about this. So in the past, and this was the intention. The plan was Xbox Showcase, a little break, but mostly kind of like a fluid transition into Bethesda Showcase at E3. And they have come together more. And I think the reasons for that, I think a lot of people are going to assume will be something like, oh, Xbox wants to make sure that people fully understand that Bethesda is part of Xbox, and there really is no delineation. And if you have Xbox Game Pass, you get Bethesda. And they would have been able to do that regardless, even if they did have two separate showcases. The real reasoning is probably that Bethesda has a lot of games in the works that are still a ways off, and they're not going to want to. If they were doing their own showcase, they would have to show a lot of that stuff, even if it was really early. And now they're part of Xbox, and if they have the opportunity to really try to like not crunch as hard to get a bunch of stuff ready for E3 that's not ready for E3, they're going to take that opportunity. And so I wouldn't expect a ton of Bethesda games in this E3. I would expect one new game that we don't know about, and then Starfield, maybe something else. But my guess here is that this stuff is going to it's going to be a little bit more compressed, a little bit more focused on stuff that is coming out in a reasonable timeline. And as for Wolfenstein 3, that one I was hopeful for, but I am less hopeful now about it coming out in like later this year or early next year. That would be great, but I don't think so. Okay. From Mega Man's Man, that's a good name. That's a really good name. I wish Mike was here to hear that. No, I don't. He's banished. What to expect from Capcom? Any Mega Man news? Boy. Mega Man 13, is that the one? Mega Man 12, Mega Man 13 didn't do very well. At least in terms of their overall expectations, I think. And the games that are doing really well for Capcom right now are doing very well, and they are sort of the new generation of Capcom games, Monster Hunter, stuff like that, not from the old school days. And Capcom knows that this strategy is working, and they know that they have a bigger audience for these more modern games. And so my guess is that Mega Man is still going to be kind of left in the past. I hope, for your sake, Mega Man's Man, and for Mike Minotti's sake, who's a huge Mega Man fan. Man, that was a lot of rhyming words there. I hope that they find a way to make Mega Man work, and to make it work means like, you know, not worry about the opportunity costs. Maybe make a small team dedicated to it. Find some fun ways to play around with the character. Keep the character alive because there's got to be some value there. But I don't know. And I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry to be the bearer of some skeptical news. From Oda, did you know Starfield has climbable ladders? Climbable ladders, Jeff Grubb. God, I saw you messaging me this in Discord, Oda, and I meant to get back to you and ask you what the hell you were talking about. But now I'm aware. Thank you for making me aware. From Hey Alaska One, why and how has the pandemic affected QA so much? So this is a good question. We've talked about it a little bit in the past. QA is so affected because it is low-wage workers who these companies treat as dispensable, and therefore have low levels of trust, and therefore cannot take home hardware. And you can't take home hardware, and you're working from home. That makes the job pretty damn hard. How are you going to QA anything? And so to QA this stuff, you have to get stuff set up in a way where maybe there is a remote system somewhere that is set up properly and configured properly, so these companies fully understand what it is they are actually QA testing, and then maybe that streams to someone's home. And first of all, that introduces a layer of variability that can make this complicated. Setting up that process is a lot more labor intensive. I think you probably need someone on both sides of that chain instead of just someone with one piece of hardware. So you're kind of maybe doubling the size of the team. The people able to work in that office, work in the office where maybe the hardware is housed, is limited by COVID restrictions. All this stuff is, and like, and really just establishing these processes in the first place requires a rethinking of how all of this works, and that alone is created a huge problem. I think this is Nintendo's issue more than anything else. I think QA has been their issue. We hear about all these games that Nintendo finishes and then sits on for a long time, and there are strategic reasons why they do that. Just kind of keeping a reserve ready to go in case things start dropping off and they need to release more games. But I think the other reason is they can only QA maybe one or two games at a time. And honestly, maybe QA one or two games at a time. And that means there's a huge backlog of games that should have been being QA'd like throughout their entire development, and instead are waiting for that final QA pass now that they are basically finished. And so, it's a problem. From Pi 1992, are you expecting more backwards compatible 360 games to be added soon, or any more resolution boosted games for Xbox? Yes, I think so. But I would expect it before E3, maybe. I don't know for sure, but it seems like the kind of thing where they're doing this to make sure that they have a lot of cool news before E3, and then E3 will be about new games. It'll be about Halo. It'll be about Starfield. It'll be about Forza Horizon 5 and stuff like that. Hang on, kiddo. I'll help you in a second. She wants to make a present for her sister, even though her sister's birthday's in January. All right, I'll help you in a second, kiddo. All right, anything new from Omen, from Arcane Austin, Mr. Evil 37? Nothing new. We've talked about this a little bit. Did we? Maybe we didn't talk about this. I mentioned it on the podcast, but it is rumored to be a vampire game from Arcane Austin called Omen, or at least codenamed Omen. And I don't know. I think that Omen name, though, and vampire stuff, is very suggestive, right? Like Blood Omen and Soul Reaver. And I have no idea if there's a connection there. That doesn't make even any sense, because that's like a whole other publisher. Maybe it's something they're going for. But I don't know. I think that this game's probably not as far off as people are expecting when you're just like hearing it out of nowhere. It seems like within the next year or two, we should hear a lot about this. From Novel V, hey Jeff, any idea if more Square Enix games coming to Game Pass day one? I think so, yes, because this has gone very well for Square Enix. It is very important. So, I think Dragon Quest was already growing in the United States, and the United States is a very important market for these big console games for Japanese publishers going forward. But when they put Dragon Quest 12 on Game Pass, that seemed to make a huge dent in terms of getting players and making an impression on people. And I do expect that they think that they can replicate that. And who knows, if Microsoft's willing to pay for it. Man, I got to do something about this mic. I keep hitting it. If Microsoft can do something about it, or if Microsoft can, Microsoft can pay enough money, maybe get Dragon Quest 12 there day one on Game Pass. I don't know, but Microsoft seems to be willing to throw that kind of money around. Square Enix seems to really like the way this is working out for them. It's possible. All right, let's see, where are we at? We're at 30 minutes, and so what I'm going to do is I'll take a couple more questions. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom. If you're still, I understand people are trying to ask a lot of stuff, but if you want to ask the same question again, if I missed your question, do so right now. Real quick, let's see, Frank the Streamer, Knoble Broat, and King of Chickens, and V Simico Simcoe. Thank you all so much for the subscriptions here on Twitch. It means a lot. It helps out. It keeps the channel going. It makes me want to keep doing these things. So thank you so much. So, all right. From Not Spaceship, WB updates. I have actually lost the thread on WB. That is it is hard to keep track of. It was happening yesterday. So AT&T is spinning off WB to Discovery, and it's Warner Brothers as a whole, like to Discovery, and that it is going to include some games, but not all the games. Some games are going to stay under AT&T. And honestly, I was seeing this happen yesterday while I was working on some other stuff, and I'm like, I'm going to check in on that later and try to figure this out. And I haven't had the chance to do that yet. So I'll try to like really track that down and see if I can figure out what's going on there. Does this increase the possibility of some of those things now being sold off again to someone like Microsoft or anyone else? Maybe it's still tough to say. I guess it depends on, Discovery is a content platform in terms of generating content, so the IP is still going to be valued. Like Discovery now owns DC Comics, and are they going to sell off the Batman character to Microsoft with Rocksteady? I don't think so. So the same problems are still going to apply, where are you just going to buy a development team with no IP that they are known for? And what is the value there really? Are you just buying a bunch of costs? You are basically just buying a bunch of checks that now you have to pay each month. And now you also have to go out and license an IP for this studio to work on, or let them make something completely new with no IP, let them make something original. But in that case, is it worth the money to buy these studios? And kind of why wouldn't you just start your own studio and see if any of these people want to come work there? That would be a lot more cost effective. There's still a lot of issues involved with that stuff. But again, this is me just kind of speaking off the cuff without really fully understanding the fallout from this WB situation. Anything on Bloodborne Remastered? No, I'm sorry. Hopefully we'll hear more soon, but I haven't heard anything, and I'm sorry about that. From Slaterama, any thoughts on what will happen with the Pro Skater franchise? Think we'll see a new game anytime soon? No. I mean, you're asking me to have faith in Activision, and I have no faith in Activision. I think we are. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 did well, and I think they are going to just say, okay, well, we did that, and maybe we'll check in again on this franchise in years. But I don't think they're going to actively put anyone back on this. Call of Duty is just worth too much, and then the other things that are worth too much are Blizzard IPs, and we've seen now the teams that would be at Activision that would make sense for like a new Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, Toys for Bob and it's the Vicarious Visions. We see they've been moved and shifted around and absorbed into Blizzard or are working on Call of Duty. Activision is just not going to see these franchises through anymore when they have bigger fish to fry, and that doesn't mean like it's gonna work out for them. I still think this stuff's gonna blow up in their face a little bit, but they know where their money's coming from, and they're gonna focus on that. Think we'll see Hogwarts Legacy at E3. WB's going to be at E3, which is kind of weird to think about now. Wonder what that looks like. But WB's supposed to be at E3. I think we see Hogwarts Legacy. I think we see most of its games there. I just don't know if we get like 2021 dates for any of them. Most of them have already been delayed to 2022. So, but we'll get updates on them, I think. What else are they going to talk about? From Renee, do you have any idea as to when we could possibly hear about Elden Ring if it's not at E3? Is this game in development hell, or is it just really COVID? I get it has slowed down development a lot, but it's really strange. There's been literally zero communication ever since its announcement in 2019. I think that I can't remember their name off the top of my head, but someone who posts on Reset Arrows really tied into Elden Ring and From Software in ways that I'm not even, especially not me. This person's knows their stuff. They made a point that shit happens, and I think we are very much in the situation here where shit happens, and it's not anyone's fault. It is the result mostly of COVID. It is result of being able to having the expectations that they could work on a game in one way, and then having that all thrown out, having to work on the game in a different way. And now those problems that would have been relatively easy to solve are now really challenging, and you need to like make Zoom calls all day. And when you're on the Zoom call, you can't work in the same way as if someone's just over your shoulder helping you solve a problem right there on the computer. And then in terms of communication, they just don't want to talk about it until they have something to show, and like something that they're really proud of, because this is a team that has a lot of expectations put on it. They've lived up to those expectations again and again and again. They don't want to break that streak. They want to meet your expectations again. And I think that high bar that they hold themselves to is part of what makes From Software. And I don't think you want them to sort of come at, even with like just a I get a lot of people would be happy to just have any communication, but that's just not what they're going to do. They're going to wait until they feel great about what they're going to present to you. All right, let's do a couple more. Thank you so much. We have like 600 people watching here on Twitch. That's awesome. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We're going to do a couple more questions, and then I'm going to get to work here today. Rare Monkey, any information on the Warner Brothers split? We talked about this a little bit. Sorry, Rare Monkey. From Legolas 24/7, what do you think Xbox's 2022 looks like? I think it looks pretty good. I think that its 2022 looks pretty good, starting with Starfield, and then probably a few other things later in the year. Maybe that is when we get Omen. I don't know, but maybe something like a surprise like Omen, maybe a few other things. I do think that, and I know this feels like forever, but I think 2023 is when the company really hits its stride. I think that they announced a lot of games in 2019, 20 to 2020. In 2020, it's hard to keep track of time. And a lot of those games are really far off. But I think the first bulk of those really big games that we heard about will start coming in 2023. And then in 2024, we'll get an even bigger drop in terms of these big games, like 4 or 5 in a year. And then that's in addition to all of the other deals that Microsoft will continue to make with third parties, all the other deals that Microsoft will continue to make in terms of just like bringing indie games and stuff like that. It's just like, if you feel good about, basically, let's put it this way. You feel good about Game Pass this year, you're going to feel better about it in 2022. And then you're going to feel even better about it in 2023. And then in 2024, it's going to be even better than it's just going to keep getting better. And I know people are, that cues people to say, but then the price is going to go up. And homie, I don't think it's going to go up quite that soon. It will go up someday, of course. It's all these things. Inflation is real. Things are going to go up in price. But $15 per person on the high end, $10 there in the low end, and then as people like find deals, like the average like revenue per person, it's going to be something like around $10 per month, maybe like $11, $12 per month. That is a lot, especially in games, because it's not quite like Netflix, where they have thousands and thousands and thousands of things to license, and they're spending $400 million on 2 movies from Rian Johnson. It's just not comparable, really. They own the studios now. That's much more cost effective than just straight up licensing them. But it's just going to keep getting better, and that's all there is to it. I mean, I think at the same time, PlayStation 5's lineup, if you're like, well, what about PlayStation? PlayStation's lineup is also going to keep getting better. The difference there is just like you're going to have to pay up front for most of those games, and I know a lot of people don't mind that at all. In most cases, I don't either, so I'm right there with you. Needle Pudge, possibility of a new Devil May Cry. I don't know. I think the last one did pretty well, so I think it's likely. From IKGH, guessing time, GTA 6 trailer this year. I'm gonna say no, because didn't we just get the news that the GTA 5, like the next gen version, is dropping later this year? So I'm gonna say no. I think we'll probably get probably means nothing when it comes to GTA, but probably next year. From Raj Former, how's it going, Raj? Marvel versus DC game from NetherRealm. I think so. That seems to be what, like, they're hinting at that. Boy, that would be cool. That would be awesome. That would be nuts. I would love that. That would be the biggest friggin' game ever, I feel like. Like that is how you like really leverage these licenses. And to like, will these companies play nice enough to make that happen? I think that NetherRealm, everyone trusts. They look at the sales that NetherRealm gets from Mortal Kombat and the sales they get from Injustice, and they're like, okay, you make everyone you work with a lot of money, and because of that, you have some cachet. And if you want to try to make Marvel and DC work together, we'll listen to you. We'll take that meeting. And then if they take the meeting and you know Ed Boon is in there convincing them and saying, hey, look at this technology, look how good this can look. We'll tone down the violence, we'll make it work. It'll be fun and campy, and everyone's gonna love it, and it's gonna sell 15 million copies. Yeah, I'm very excited about the possibility. I'm at a point where I don't know if that's the case, but I am ready to be disappointed. Like I'm getting my hopes up for this one. If this actually like comes out, I'll lose my mind. And if they announce it and something else, it'll probably still be pretty cool, but I will be disappointed because I am choosing to believe in this one. So let's wait and see. All right. That's going to wrap it up, everybody. Thank you so much for all the questions. I think if you feel like you have a question you really need answered and I ignored it and I missed it or whatever, join the Discord, hit me up in there, ping me in there. I'll try to do my best to answer it. I think that I'm probably going to start a new question and answer show in some way. And it might have to do just with the Discord and maybe just for the Patreon members, patreon.com/Jeff Grubb. There's like one of those Twitter Spaces things, but inside a Discord. And I might make a room just for the Patreon members and kind of do a Q&A session. Cause I'm starting to realize I get a lot of questions each week now. And it's like the podcast was like an hour and 15 minutes of just questions last week. So, and I want to answer them all. This is fun for me. I really like talking about games. I like everyone's questions. When I can either use knowledge or I can use stuff that I've gleaned from just understanding the way the business works. I love to have those conversations with you. So I want to keep doing this and finding new avenues and finding new ways to make sure that people that really want to have these conversations with me, we can have those conversations. So I guess let me know what you think. Join the Discord. We'll talk there. All right, everybody. I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for watching. Let's watch it. Well, you know what? Let's wrap up the YouTube version real quick. Everyone in the chat, say goodbye to YouTube. I'll be back with another new episode next week for sure, but we're getting closer to E3, so expect more of these shows throughout the week, I think. Probably do 2 each week as news comes out. But for now, she found a Reese's cup, a Reese's package. I gotta go open that for her. So, all right, YouTube, have a good one. We'll see you next time.